when you've completed the sign-up process with MFA, you're going to get an email which will send you your username and password. Your username will be the email address that you signed in with. Your password is a password of your choosing, but you're going to get an email immediately that's going to give you that information and a link to sign into your back office. What I would encourage that you do, right off the bat, I would encourage that you go right into the back office, click on Money Tracks, and schedule a consultation with Joe Kraft and his staff over at Money Tracks. Before your consultation, very important, guys, go ahead and get your last 3 years tax returns and have them ready. They're going to ask you for that information, and they're going to go over your last 3 years taxes and find mistakes or loopholes that were missed in an effort to get you more deductions and put money in your pocket right away. The majority of the people who are doing their initial consultations are saving more money from that than the program costs them each month. So again, you've got to go into Money Tracks, schedule your consultation. You can pick the day and the time that you want your consultation to happen, and then have your tax returns ready for that conversation. And again, any list of questions that you might have concerning any type of financial advice. You know, a lot of folks that we're dealing with now from TelexFREE, this is the first time that they're going to pay taxes on this type of income. As we've said in the past, you go from an average of 38 deductions being a W-2 employee to 138 deductions having a home-based business with the intent to create a profit. So I would strongly encourage you to have all of your questions together. Joe and his staff are ready, willing, and able to get you pointed in the right direction. And some of the questions that we're getting from TelexFREE promoters is, what do I do with my money? We're seeing the TelexFREE promoters are making more money than they ever have. They have an extra $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 a month to deal with, and Joe and his staff can guide you on where to put it, how to handle it, what to do. So I strongly suggest that you start with Money Tracks. The second part of the conversation that I would have with Joe and his staff is how to actually get your taxes done. Now, tax preparation is not included in Money Tracks, but for TelexFREE promoters and MFA members, you get tax returns done drastically reduced. And guys, who better than to do your TelexFREE's income taxes than the CFO of TelexFREE and a New York Times best-selling author on the topic? So I would strongly encourage you to get that done first. The second thing that I would do is I would go into Credit Tracks. With Credit Tracks, you've got a 4-step sign-up process that's going to walk you through each individual step, with the final step being securing a credit report. The credit report, we generally suggest that you go to annualcreditreport.com. We use privacyguard.com, identityguard.com. You know, those are the top 3 that we use. When you get your credit report, what I would do is just right-click and save it to a PDF and email it to us. In fact, you can even email it directly to me at jay@myfinancialadvantage.com. Even if you have great credit, guys, there could be things that we could do, things we could suggest, you know, little tips that we can give you to get the score even higher. The higher the score, the lower the rate. The lower the rate, the less you pay. The less you pay, the more money you save. So even if you do have a good credit score, guys, it's not going to hurt you to take a look at it. And if you do have bad credit, don't worry. People say, you know, my credit's just so bad, I don't even want to get started. Guys, the worse it is, the easier it is for us to make a heavy impact. I've always said, give me the 10 pages of collections. Somebody that's filed bankruptcy, had foreclosures, had repossessions. Those are easier to make a heavy impact, guys. So no matter whether you have terrible, terrible credit or whether you've got great credit, go ahead and go into Credit Tracks, get that credit report, and get it over to us, and let's see what we can do to help you with that. And finally, one of the most exciting parts about the sign-up process in my mind is getting your Equity Tracks report. When you go into Equity Tracks, you need to plan to have about 15 to 20 minutes to spend to enroll in Equity Tracks. The information that they're going to ask you for is pretty detailed. What I would suggest is that on a spreadsheet, you put together all of your liabilities. It's items that you pay monthly. Now, when I say items that you pay monthly, I mean credit cards, student loans, mortgage, car payments, things like that. The things that you would not include would be cell phone bills, utility bills, things of that nature. What I would suggest is that you start that spreadsheet with all of your liabilities, the amount of the amortization time or how long you have to pay on it, the interest rates and or APRs that you have, because you're going to put all of that information into the Equity Track system. Within 24 hours, it's going to print out a report that's going to give you not only your debt-free date, and when I say debt-free, I mean completely 100% out of debt, but it's also going to issue you your millionaire date. We're going to show you how to take that same amount of money and begin to pay yourselves instead of your creditors, so that you have a date that you're going to be a liquid millionaire and completely debt-free. Now that is one of the most exciting portions about the MFA program. I've asked for a report to show the amount of interest that we've saved, an updated report on the amount of interest that we've saved TelexFREE promoters. The last number that I had was $12 million. And I know that we've had a lot of activity over at Equity Track since then, so I'm hoping to be able to release those numbers from stage on Sunday. But guys, again, you start with activating the membership and then go into each one of those programs and sign up for them. I mean, it's not going to hurt you to have financial advice on demand. It's not going to hurt you to get an extra 10, 15, some people 50, 100 points added to your credit score. And honestly, Equity Tracks we can all use. Let's get out of debt. Let's get our millionaire date. Now, guys, that's pretty much the sign-up process. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me at any time at jay@myfinancialadvantage.com. LJ, thank you so much for having me. I just want to keep it short and sweet today. I'm going to try and catch my plane to Boston here tomorrow, so I got to get out of here quick. I look forward to seeing you guys in Boston. And LJ, we'll keep your wife in our prayers, buddy. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Jay. Safe travels, man. I really do appreciate it, man. Thanks.
Thanks, buddy.
Okay, moving right along on to our next topic. I think we're going to have Roy talk a little bit about renewal updates. I know there's a lot of questions in regards to renewals. I'm going to touch base a little bit later about the compensation plan. We've got some other stuff planned for the call. Roy, you want to tell us a little bit on about the updates that are coming with renewals, or how things are going?
And how this works, and you know, kind of why there are some issues going on with it. So remember that, you know, when you originally signed your contract, it was a 1-year agreement. Okay, so 1 year from the date you got activated, you're going to have to renew that contract. And if you go into your back office, you go to your reports page, it will show you in there the date that you activated. So 1 year approximately from that date, you will have to renew your account. The way the renewal process works, and it's important that everybody understand this because it is causing some issues. So the day that your contract expires, your account is going to get locked. That means that it will not let you access certain parts of your back office. So if you try to go to your statement history, if you try to place ads, if you try to do a number of things in there, you won't be able to, because your account will be locked. Ideally, the day of your renewal process, or even a day or two before, you would have received your renewal invoice. And so you could simply pay that renewal invoice and unlock your account. There's a glitch in the system where right now, for some reason, some accounts, the renewal invoice is not popping up by the date that that account is supposed to renew. So what happens is some people are having their account get locked and they don't have a renewal invoice to pay. They are working through those. They are getting processed. So if that happens to you, just watch, because you should get that renewal invoice. I think what they're doing is they have to kind of do these in batches. So they do them in a batch every few days. And so we have this issue where some people, your account might actually get locked and you don't see your invoice. The invoice will show in your back office just like any other invoice. So you can, when you log in, on the day of or after your account is expired, you will see it says you have a new invoice. You go to the invoice and then you can pay that invoice just like you would basically any other invoice, okay? So it's important to know that if you're going to accumulate funds in your back office to pay that invoice, ahead of time, if you can, transfer that money to another account. So if you have more than one account, transfer that money out to another account that won't renew for a few weeks or months. because then you have access to those funds in that account. So now the renewal invoice pops up. All you do is get the renewal invoice number, go log into your other account, and you can pay that renewal invoice. We're finding out that there seems to be a glitch right now in the computer system. I've sent this to I sent a video to to Steve and to Jay at the IT department, because what's happening is people have that money accumulated in their back office. The renewal date comes and goes. They get their renewal invoice, but when they go in and try to pay with their back office funds, they get an error message that it won't let them. It says forbidden, because it won't let you access that part of the program, which of course they are going to fix, but it's creating an issue because people are having their renewal invoice there and then they can't pay it. So if you're able, ahead of time, get that money out to a different account and have it in that account so you'll be able to pay your invoice. You can also pay it through your e-wallet. So if you want, you can get monies transferred into your e-wallet as you go along, plan ahead. Transfer some of that money, do some withdrawals, get it out to your e-wallet, accumulate your funds in your e-wallet. Then when the renewal invoice pops up, you can simply pay it from your e-wallet. The calculation for the renewal, remember, is there's a 20% renewal fee, and that's based on the income that was earned in that account. This is all going to change this weekend as we understand it. So once the new compensation plan comes into effect, supposedly that 20% will no longer be there. Again, I do not know all the exact details on how that's going to work, but that's our assumption. But anyway, you won't pay it until you renew, but you have to accumulate the funds to make sure you're able to when you renew. So we'll know a lot more about that this next week. But basically, it's 20% of the income that was generated in that account. You go to your reports again, to your income tab. You can add up all the funds that were earned in that account. Take 20% of that plus the contract fee for the next year. And again, so now once we go to the new compensation plan here, some of this is going to change, because if you're renewing after the new compensation plan goes into effect, I would assume you're going to fall under the new rules. So some of this I'm just not sure the exact details how it's going to work out once the new comp plan goes into effect. I think the main thing to know is that on the day that your renewal comes up, your account does get blocked. So it's best to have those funds somewhere else other than that account so you can access them. Then you can simply pay that invoice and get it unblocked. The company has said that they want us to renew at least our primary account, whatever account we've made the most money in. You have to renew at least that account. If you have other accounts and you decide you don't want to renew them, they're not going to force you to renew every account. You'll still be active with the account that you do renew, but they do want you to renew at least one account. If you don't renew any accounts and you go off and start a new account, then it is possible you would get terminated in that account at some point, because that's kind of scamming the system. So we all have to abide by the renewal rules. They've also set up an email. Santiago actually set up this email address you see down here. It's called myrenewal123@gmail.com. So if your renewal invoice does not show up, the day of or day before your renewal date, I would send an email to that address. That's not guaranteeing it's going to show up, but at least then they're seeing how many invoices are not showing up, right? So they can go to the IT department and find out what's going on. You simply, let me scroll down just a little bit here. So to do that, you simply send an email to myrenewal123@gmail.com. In the subject line, put renewal invoice not showing up. Give them your username and the date your account expired or is set to expire, and and that should help at least prompt them. Up above here, I guess I forgot, I was also going to say that if your account gets locked, you can still access your e-wallet. So that's why if you have the funds out in your e-wallet, you're still okay, or if you have funds in your e-wallet, then you can still access those, because remember when you got your welcome email, it gave you this link, this telexfree.global-ewallet.com, and it gave you your basically your username and your password. So you can still access your e-wallet outside of the TelexFREE system. So if you get funds in your e-wallet, that's a good way to go. Just keep them there, because then you can still access those funds. I think that's mostly what I wanted to talk to about the renewal process. LJ, is there anything else, any other questions you think that I should answer? Oh wait, I do have a couple questions here. Excuse me one second. Let me go on here. So yeah, so Samir's asking about what's going to happen with the renewal once we go to the new comp plan. And again, I'm actually not sure. I mean, you're going to be renewing into the new comp plan. So if it was, if you would have paid $14.25 for a new contract, you're not going to pay that, because you're going to go into the new comp plan. So we're going to have to find out. That's one thing we'll have to pay attention to in what comes out this weekend.
Hey, Roy.
Yeah, go ahead.
I know that we're waiting for this weekend on that comment. I will say this, that when I went to the compensation meeting a few weeks ago, where they unveiled some of this compensation plan and I did say when I came back there would be some changes. There have been a few changes since that meeting, but at that meeting they did say that the 20% would be gone with the new comp plan. I don't know if that's going to stand still, but I haven't heard much mention of it, so I doubt it's something that they could spring on, especially with the changes that they're doing financially to the comp plan. So I would assume or guess that the 20% would be gone for anyone that renews under the new comp plan. However, the people who are still under the old comp plan, it would make sense that the 20% would still be there up until their renewal date, in which case they would then fall under the new comp plan. There is a number of people who have earned, who will be earning up until this new comp plan in this new year, and it would only make sense that they would still be tied into that 20% before they transition into the new comp plan. That's just my thoughts, because it's logical. But then again, sometimes this industry isn't always logical. So let's just keep that in mind.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, thanks for that, LJ. So stay tuned for that a little bit. So a couple other questions here. Donna's asking about, like if you started out and you came in as, what we call an Ad Central, and then weeks or a month later you upgraded and bought some additional Ad Centrals, so now you have a family. The date that you originally started that contract is your renewal date, and the entire contract will expire on that date. It's not differentiated by when you bought each individual Ad Central. So if you bought some a few weeks or months later, then those are all going to expire at the same time. That contract is all going to expire at the same time, and you won't be able to post ads for any of them in that entire contract. So talking about, Samantha's asking if I have more than one account, do I have to pay 20% on each account? Yes, each account is separate, remember. The computer looks at every account as its own individual business account. Just because your name is on them doesn't mean anything. You still have to renew each individual account, and if you renewed all the accounts that you technically own, you would be paying the 20% on each of those. And just understand that it's kind of your call. In other words, you have to look at your individual accounts, and you can say, okay, so this account, I really don't have any building going on under it. I have no reason to keep this account, so I'm just going to let this one expire. But just remember, and I'll make this point again, if you think you're going to not renew an account, make sure and go in ahead of time, do all of your repurchases, all those kinds of things, and then make sure and transfer the money out to another account, because that account will get locked on the day that it expires. I'm trying to get them to get the computer system set up so we can still access our funds in those accounts, but right now you want to make sure that you don't leave any money in that account if it's going to expire, and especially if you're not going to renew it. Let's see, a couple other questions here. So Carlos is asking about upgrading, and again, I'm not sure, but My guess is that you won't be able to upgrade an account after the new comp plan goes into effect. So, you know, I would say do that now. If you have an account you've been thinking about upgrading, rather than wait, I would probably do it now. A couple of people are asking about
Right.
withdrawals. Go ahead.
I was going to say, just to add a little bit to Carlos' question, I was also told that once, you know, this new plan, whenever it did happen, once it happened, you'd be locked into where you were at with the old system. That doesn't mean the functionality would still be there. That just means that the pay would still be there. So my assumption or thought would be the same as yours, Roy, that you would not be able to upgrade. At that point, any other positions purchased or a renewal date or paid renewal, you would be then converting over to the new compensation plan. It is a phasing out process of the old plan. So you can figure that there won't be any changes to that old system once they move into the new system. Just something to think about.
Good. Yeah, that's what I think too. So a couple people are asking about withdrawals again. I'll just do this real quick and then we'll go on, LJ. You know, withdrawals, the way the withdrawal system works is you go in on a Tuesday, you tell the computer system that you want to take a withdrawal. It records the withdrawal. It basically uploads all of those into a file. So now your name, your account, your withdrawal amount is all in a computer file somewhere, right? About 10 days after that, so they technically say the Friday after that week, so you do it on a Tuesday, about 10 days later on that Friday, that file gets transmitted to the e-wallet company, and at the same time the funds get moved to your e-wallet account. So there's kind of a 10-day period there, honestly, where they disappear from your back office account and they're really not in your e-wallet account either. They're in transit to your e-wallet account. So you make the withdrawal, you see the withdrawal recorded. About 10 days later, you're going to see that in your e-wallet account, and then of course you can go out and you know, and access those funds. And I think Velda's asking, and this is a good question, if I go in, let's say I go in yesterday maybe and I did a withdrawal request, and then today my account gets locked up, I would assume that withdrawal request has been made and that it would end up in my e-wallet. That's my assumption. You know, I mean, I'm not running the computer system, but like I said, it seems to me that that withdrawal has been uploaded, and so it would end up in your e-wallet about 10 days later, as long as you made it before your account expired. But that's another reason to go in ahead of time and make sure that you either transfer the funds out of your account if it's going to expire, and if you're not going to renew it, get the funds out of there and you know, get it to somewhere else. So Michael's asking about how many days prior to renewal will we receive the email or the new invoice, and that's the issue, Michael. Is it's happening like the last day or even the day after. They for whatever reason the computer system is not doing it timely, and so if it happens, your account gets locked up, you don't see your renewal invoice, just know that it will get there. Send an email to where I have on the screen there, myrenewal123@gmail.com. Tell them you don't have it. And yeah, so yeah, Rosaline's asking, you know, about moving funds out of the account. Yeah, and that's just it. As I say, if you have an account and it's going to expire, you're not going to renew it, get your funds out of there so you can access it. You know, it is a problem. I mean, they have to obviously somehow let us access those funds, but with all the computer issues going on, it's just problematic to try to get somebody to go in and, you know, write the program or do something so we can access those funds. Let's see. I see a couple other questions here. If you put in a withdrawal request by accident, it will get made. If you have funds in there, it will get made. Again, stuff like that is hard to go back and get it changed. In a perfect world, I would say you'd be able to email the company, tell them to stop it, and get it put back to your account because it hasn't happened yet. But the way we are right now, it's difficult to get that kind of stuff done. So, LJ, I think that's it for right now. I'll go over some of these. There's a few other questions here. I'll go over those in just a minute.
Thanks, Roy. I do appreciate all the information there. That was a lot of information. I hope that you were able to write down the most important parts. I think the renewal, myrenewal123@gmail is very important. And if you have any questions, feel free to keep asking them because we love answering them. If we have the answer, believe me, we have no problem giving it to you. On to our next topic, a little bit about, I think that Roy touched on some of the customer service updates. I know there's an event from one of my good friends, Doug Rice, Rodrigo Castro, the Baker Group down in Dallas, Texas. Roy, if you can get your phone. The Dallas group, Texas group down there is having an event. Roy, if you can put that Eventbrite link up there, that'd be great. It is a opportunity event as well as a training event. It is a Super Saturday. Roy, if you could put that event up, please. I'm not sure if Rob's on the phone. Rob, are you there to talk a little bit about those groups down there? I know there's some powerful groups, and they're growing very quickly. I know that Rodrigo's in about 23 countries. I know the Baker Group and Doug Rice down there are expanding at a massive rate, growing all over the country. Rob, are you there?
I am, LJ. Thank you. Yes,
Hey, Rob.
that is going to be a marquee weekend for a variety of reasons. We all know that there's a big meeting in Boston on Sunday, but as Doug and Rodrigo and Pete and the Bakers and Ron and others who are very influential in the growth. I mean, I can think of half a dozen other people as well in kind of North Texas as well as South Texas are all converging in Dallas that weekend. It's going to be in the Galleria area of Dallas. Dallas, as you know, is a very large metroplex. The Galleria area is just kind of a suburb of Dallas. We will get Doug on one of these calls for you all so that he can give you even more information. But Steve Labriola is going to be there. The guys from Telex Mobile and Cellular are going to be there. Jay Godwin of MFA is going to be there. It's going to be kind of a trifecta weekend where you're going to get straight answers from the guys who are putting things together for you in reference to TelexFREE, Telex MFA, and Telex Cellular. Doug, Pete, Rodrigo, those guys run a tight ship. They know what they're doing. They are industry veterans. So it's going to be a great weekend. Here's another reason why you're going to want to be either A, a part of that weekend, or B, encourage people to go to those presentation meetings. Likely there'll be one on Friday as well as a pair of presentation meetings on Saturday afternoon. Is the way the business is being presented moving forward with the introduction of the app and Telex Mobile is likely by April. Many of the kinks and many of the features of the app as well as Telex Cellular and Mobile will have been released by then. So we're going to get a much more panoramic understanding of what's going on in April. So it's a perfect time to either A, be in Dallas, or B, invite people to be a part of that weekend, because you can be proud of the people who are organizing that and what sort of weekend representation will be there. As we learn more, we'll certainly share it here, get it out in a variety of emails, but that Eventbrite site is live, as you can see. Thanks, Roy, for putting that up. Prices are $20 with a nominal kind of Eventbrite fee. So for $21 or so, you can get access to that weekend. And also, I think if you're buying 4 or more tickets, you need to apply separate purchases. For example, if you wanted 8 tickets, you would apply 2 purchases of 4. And that's just something they're doing in order to kind of organize things on their side administratively. But it's going to be a great weekend. I can't wait to see everybody down there. And back over to you, LJ.
Thanks a lot, Roy. Yeah, I know all those leaders personally. There's some amazing people down there in Texas, and they're helping a lot of people. And if you can be there, someone in the area, I encourage you to get there. I myself plan on being there. I know a number of other leaders on the call plan on being there as well. So good job down there in Texas. Everything is bigger in Texas. Let's build Texas's Dallas event. Marketing, I know that we're running short on time, so I'll be quick. I know that Yolanda's got some technical difficulties being that she's on the other side of the world, but we appreciate you listening, Yolanda listening in the background. Her topic was focusing on results, and I'll just take 2 or 3 minutes just to give my little spiel on focusing on results. In any business, whether it be online or offline, anything you really do in life to better yourself or improve yourself, you have to have results. Results determine growth. They determine progress. They determine your income. Basically, let's put it out there like that. Results determine your income. They don't always have to be big results or large changes in what you're doing. Sometimes they're the simple things. A simple result will change, kind of your path for business. So I encourage you to focus on whatever result that is, whether it's small or whether it's big, but make sure that you have one. If your goal is just to recruit one person or purchase one new family pack or Ad Central, that's great. That needs to be your goal, and you need to work your butt off to get that achievement done. If you're able to focus on the result long enough and hard enough and concentrate on what you're trying to do, often those results are achieved. If you think it and you work to get to that thought process and you believe in that thought process, often those results will happen. So it's a lot like mind over matter, if you've ever heard that saying. The mind is really powerful. You think positive thoughts and you think about something that you want more than anything, often you'll achieve it. There's people out there who always have that deja vu moment where they felt like they've been in that situation before, or they've thought about something and then it happened, or they've thought about something. Have you ever thought about a car and then all of a sudden you start seeing that car all over the place? Okay? Either one thing, you're making your mind alert to that thought process, or the power of your mind is happening when you do that. Right? The mind is very strong. It's been studied that we don't use a massive percentage of our brains in the things that we do, and it's very powerful. So keep that in mind when you're thinking about what you're trying to achieve or what you're trying to accomplish. Focus on the result. All right. Understand that there has to be a path to get to that result, but focus on it. Me and Rob and Roy, we had a plan to build an international team. That's all we thought about doing when we first started this business. Reach out to as many international leaders as we know, tell them about TelexFREE, give it to them right off the bat so that they have it on their lap so that they can figure out whether or not it's a valuable business. And then what we did was we followed up with them. Pretty simple. Some leaders, it took 2 months to get into business. Some leaders joined immediately. It's going to be like that with any endeavor that you take on. So focus on the result. Focus on it. And now I know that the team has grown all over the world. We've met some amazing people. But that wouldn't have been possible if we hadn't focused on the results. We had a plan to build it a certain way. We had a plan to have a certain amount of people in the business. We had numbers that we were trying to achieve by the end of the year. Some of those goals we hit, some of those results we hit, but 100% of the day we focused on the result. And that's where we're at today. On to the next subject, the animal, the compensation plan, talking a little bit about the compensation plan. I think that we've hit a lot of the things that we needed to kind of address about this compensation plan. I know that we all know the events going on the 9th. I don't think we have any new questions here about the compensation plan, but I'm excited about it. I'm excited about the fact that we're going to have customer acquisition that's required. I know that a lot of you out there look at this in a particular way, and if you look at it in a positive way, great. If you look at it in a negative way, I want you to kind of change your thinking a little bit, because when you focus on the result, if you're focusing on it from a negative perspective, it's going to change the result that you're trying to achieve. All right, but if you focus on the compensation plan in a positive way, even if it's just, well, guess what? Now they're going to have more customers, which means they're going to be around a lot longer, all right, which is positive. If you focus on just the positive side of that, that might change your result that you're trying to achieve. If you haven't created a path or kind of set a goal in your mind for how you're going to build this business, then everything I'm saying to you doesn't really make sense. All right, so just kind of create that, what you're trying to have, create that possibility in your mind. Remember, you yourself get to become a customer. I'm sure you have family members who can become customers. You know, this isn't necessarily that you got to go out and start knocking on doors to find customers. And remember that the app that they're going to be providing in conjunction with the voice over IP is going to be pretty incredible. I mean, Roy said it, and I agree that this is going to be pretty cutting edge here, what you have the opportunity to market. It's going to trump some of the cell phone companies that are out there. And when I say trump, I mean it's going to put TelexFREE in a very, very strong place as a competitor to many of the major cell phone providers out there. So keep that in mind when you're talking about this new compensation plan. These are all positive thoughts that can help you achieve those results. So remember that. Roy, I know that you touched on the e-wallet a little bit here. I'm not sure if you want to touch on a few of these more questions that came up about the e-wallet.
Okay, thanks, LJ. I don't see a lot of questions here about the e-wallet. Of course, everybody's asking about the renewal process and the new comp plan. And I don't know, Carlos and I have been chatting here behind the scenes. You know, it's like how is this going to work? Because you're going to have your old tree that you're getting paid on, you know, from your reps that signed up before this, and then you're going to have, you know, everybody that comes in after the new comp plan goes into effect, and so how are those two going to be merged? And my comment to him was, you know, good question. I'm glad I'm not the programmer, because it's a complicated situation. You know, it's just hard to say how all this is going to fall into place. Literally, we just have to see what comes out of Boston this Sunday, learn all we can about the new comp plan, and then we'll just kind of have to see how our downline, how our commissions end up as a result of it. You know, I don't have all the answers. I can't think through it all the way, and all the scenarios and everything on how the computer's going to handle that. So just stay tuned. You know, we'll go through it all next week and stuff. I mean, I do know, and they have said, and LJ, you can agree with this if you want, but the accounts that I have now, you know, will basically continue. Okay, so you know, the earnings that I have now, I will continue until this contract expires. So the ad posting revenues, that kind of stuff will all continue. As I sign up new reps going forward, I'm going to get paid based on the new commission structure, right? And I assume as people renew, I'm going to get paid on the new commission structure. So that part will change. The ad posting part and some of that will stay the same as we go forward. I'm very hopeful that at the same time they're also going to get all of the unilevels reinstated, so we can all start getting all the unilevel payments that, you know, that we were hoping to get here too. So let's just stay tuned for that. There are some issues. Carlos also asking about problems with paying an invoice and then you know, they not show up or something. And I've heard that. I actually have not seen that, Carlos. I went through actually, you know, and created a couple invoices recently and paid them through the e-wallet, and it all worked fine. So we have to look at that on kind of an individual case-by-case basis. I will say, in talking about customer service, that the whole customer support staff has been totally focused on getting everything ready for this new comp plan and what's going to go on, and getting the 1099s out. We kind of created this 1099 situation ourselves as reps, because so many people went in and made modifications as they signed up to their social security numbers, their tax ID numbers, and that kind of stuff. And you know, so what they're doing is they're going back and they're trying to accumulate all the accounts that you might have under your name and your address, trying to figure out what your real social security number is, so they can issue you a 1099. So just know that there's some issues here with customer service. We have not had really good response this week. Not that it's been great in the past, but still, there's some things going on behind the scenes, so there are some issues that we're having trouble getting resolved. That should all be straightened out here pretty soon. So, you know, and if you have customer service issues, so on the invoice payment things, pretty much all you can do is send an email. You're welcome to send it to me. I send it on to the company, or you can send it to the, you know, the support day USA 02. In just a second, I'll throw this up on the screen here. This is really the company's official customer support email right now. And you can see in the middle of the screen here the SUPORTE USA 02, that's a 02 at TelexFREE.com. All of these issues need to get sent to that address. I'm not saying they're going to get answered right away, but again, they need to know that these issues are happening. The more emails they get, the more priority they're going to give to a certain situation. So send your customer support emails to this address. Always make sure, and I note it here, always give them your username, what your correct email address is on your account. Attach a a copy of your picture ID document that proves that the account you're talking about or you're asking about is your account. And then just state you know what the problem is. A lot of people will send in an email to customer service, and I've even got them. You know, people will send to me saying, "My account's not working. Please help me." And it's like, what do I do with that? I have no idea what the issue is. So be fairly complete. Don't ramble on, but just say, I tried logging into my account today. I got an error message. The error message said this. I can't get back into my account, or I've tried getting my secondary password changed. I can't get the email to change it. Please give me a new secondary password. Whatever the issue is, just tell them what the issue is, and then tell them what you want them to do. You know, please do this. And then it's going to get answered a lot quicker than if you write in and you start talking about who your sponsor is and you know, the problems you've had in other companies and who knows what all. They really don't want to take time to read a lengthy email. Try to keep it short and to the point. My username is, my correct email address is, here's my issue, please do this. You know, that's the best way to handle these. And another thing, and we've said this before, and I'll continue to harp on it, make sure you use a good password. And when you have people signing up, tell them, don't use a very simple password. You know, the simple passwords like, you know, just, you know, 123 or just TelexFREE 123 or some simple password like that. The scammers have figured those out. They know, you know, they probably have figured out, I don't know, a dozen of those really, really simple passwords, and they will try to scam your account. So use a password that only you can recognize. Make sure you keep track of it, but use a good, strong password. And if you need to go change your password, you can go into the system and change it. But don't change everything all at once. Don't go try changing your email address and your secondary password all the same day, because then the system thinks that your account has been hacked and it will block your account. And that's one of the problems that a lot of people have. They go in, they try changing all their passwords, their email address, everything the same day, and then all of a sudden their account's blocked, and then they can't get the email because because their account's blocked. And so don't do that. Just be careful. If you're going to change something, change one thing, and don't change everything all at one time. So things like you know, Chan, you're asking about what happens. You say you got an invoice paid twice. We can get that fixed. You know, my contact at the company can fix that. The support day USA 02 email address would be a good one to send that to. You know, something like that I would send in, and I would say, you know, this is the invoice number. We paid it, you know, from the back office of this account, but then we also accidentally paid it using a credit card from this account. Give them the invoice number, the usernames, and they will go back and they will credit you back on your credit card or whatever for that amount. But like I say, you have to send an email address. Be specific. Tell them what you would like them to do. Let's see, Biji, if I'm saying your name correctly there. So he's asking about a problem if somebody signed up on the wrong website, and so you actually ended up like in the wrong downline. The problem there is that they can't change that account, so you have to actually go request a cancellation of that account. So you have to log into the account that you created that's in the wrong spot, enter a support ticket in this case, tell them that you need to cancel this account, the reason why, you have to upload a copy of your ID document. I would create the support ticket. Then I would also go send an email to this Support Day USA 02 address, give them the support ticket, and give them the support ticket number, and the same thing, tell them the same problem, and ask them that you need to cancel that account because it was created in the wrong place or something. So Carlos is asking about payments of invoices. Carlos, why don't you email me something on that? Give me something to look at, can you? Send me an email with the username and password and stuff so I can go look and try to figure out what's going on there. That may be a new problem, and I'm not aware of it. So Olga's asking about matching bonus. Understand that the way the binary works in both the old system and the new system, when you sign up and you create an account and then you sponsor somebody on your left, you get the sponsorship bonus. You sponsor somebody on the right, you get the sponsorship bonus, okay? Those are your qualifying positions. So you don't technically get the binary commission on that. Those are like your qualifiers. And the new system is going to be the same way. So you sponsor one person on your left, one person on your right. You get the sponsorship bonuses, but you don't get the binary. Those are your qualifiers. After that, then if you have a sale on the left and a sale on the right, then you would get the binaries. A lot of times that's what people are talking about. I'm not sure, Olga, if that's your exact situation, but it could be. So, anyway, that's just one comment on that. Yeah, and that email is correct. It's SUP with one P. Just like I have it on the screen, that is correct. LJ, I'm done. Take it away. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks a lot, Roy. We're getting pretty close to our time here. I do want to say, if you haven't plugged into our social media group, we do post updates in there. You can look for the Empire Group room. Also, Got Telex is another one of our sites. Both these sites, we post updates about what's going on within Telex. So please plug into your social media groups. If you have any questions or emails, you know where to find us. Feel free to message us on Skype. We're here to help you. Roy, would you bring up that list real quick? Yeah, thank you very much. I know that we've answered all the questions, and I hope that you guys have gotten some of your answers. If you have anything you'd like to ask us or any topics you'd like us to discuss, feel free to message us. We want everyone to have a great weekend. Looking forward to hearing all the great news about the event this weekend at the Boston event. Stay tuned next Tuesday. Obviously, we're going to bring you as much information as we can and answer any questions moving forward. The Empire Group is here to help you. This is everyone that's involved in the Empire Group, all the different leaders, whether you're on our team or not. Go out there and build your empire. Have a great weekend, everyone, and we'll talk to you soon.